Okay, so just to summarize what we're talking about right now is usually you get to the green, right? And basically your ball will come to rest anywhere, right? Could have been anywhere, right? And then you get up there and let's say my ball's there and your ball's there, right? So whose turn is it? Who's ever farthest away from the hole, it's their turn to play, right? So that means that it's you're away, right? So then what you'd want to do is you'd want to come over here and you'd want to mark your ball, and then you'd want to get back down here and kind of and look and survey the slope or whatever and try to determine, right, where you're going to aim, right, to get your ball on line. And so see, in putting, if you watch the TV screen again real quick, watch this. In putting, there's something that's called aim point putting. And you'll see in a moment here that this is a typical kind of shot that somebody might have to play on the course. He's aiming his ball where the dash line is because the slope of the land is going to make his ball do what? It's going to make his ball curve this way. Do you see this? And so what we do is we pick a spot to aim at. We call this spot putting, or Aim Point is the company that does a lot with it, but spot putting, where you pick a spot that you're trying to putt to, which is a guess on how the ball is going to curve, right? Because every putt could have a different curve to it depending on the slope of the land. Do you see what I'm saying?
So it's going downwards.
Right. So the angle of the hill, if it's tilted this way, which way is it going to go? It's wherever water flows.
Yeah.
So think of it like that, like where the water would flow.
Physics lesson.
Totally. Exactly. Right. So, okay. So now that I have this thing aimed, right? So now I've got it aimed. Then I'm going to pick up my marker, right?
Okay.
And put it in my pocket. And now I'm ready to try to hit my putt and try to make it, right? And so then I line up to the putt and I make sure that the face of the club is perpendicular to that line. And then I get my feet to be what's called parallel to that line. And then from there, I try to make my putt. And you see, I made it. And so basically, you'll be going through that routine all the time while you're playing, where you get to the green and you got to mark it. What happens if, let's say my ball was here, right? And your ball is there. Is my ball in your way?
Yes.
Right? So what you could say to me is say, hey, Ryan, can you please mark your ball? And I need you to move it over one. Okay. And then I'd say, okay, sure. So then I'm going to mark my ball like this. And then look, I'm going to use the club and I'm going to look at something. I'm looking at the edge of that Slope Genius mat. And I'm going to move my marker over. And I'm going to say, is that enough? Or do you want me to move it another one?
Oh, okay.
And then you say, is it okay? Or is it in your way still or no?
Probably not.
So it's good? Okay, good. And then it'd be your turn to putt. Then after you putt, what would I have to do? I'd have to go back over here and I'd have to do what? I'd have to move my marker back to where it was, right? And then I can put my ball down and finish my putt after you're finished. And so on the greens, there's certain things that we have to do like this, and everyone's doing it to get through the round. Now, what happens if, let's say for example,
So it's move it over one?
yeah, you can say, can you please? Yeah, I'm recording all this again, so you'll be able to review. Yeah, it's to you say to the player, hey, can you move your mark over one or over a couple, because that's in line with where I'm trying to go. Yep. Now another thing might happen on the course where let's say you were like way over here, okay, and my ball was there and I didn't mark it because it wasn't in your way, and then you hit your putt and your putt stopped right here, right? And that's where my ball is, and then your ball's here, and so now you have to try to figure out how to step so that you don't step in my line.
Right.
You see, because that's my line, and I won't be happy with you if you come over here and you put a big footprint in my line. So on the greens, it's also very important to know the etiquette that if somebody's ball is going to roll there, then you'd say, okay, well, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to finish yet because I don't want to step in your line. So then you mark your ball and then you wait until they finish because you don't want to step in their line. You see what I'm saying? That's a very important one, especially when you're playing at the club level, that you know, because you don't want to offend anybody. And that's a good way to offend somebody. If you walk up and you step in their line, they're not going to be very happy with you. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do around the green. Now, let me save that video and then let me coach you on how to hit a putt.